Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Cape Nest Amateur Dramatic Society tasting. This evening, I'm going to look at an indie bottler, an independent bottler called Artful Dodger, and I've got three samples that have been purchased from the Spirits Embassy in Huntly. They do monthly tastings. They do live tastings. I can't always attend them, and they do an at-home tasting where they have a branch representative for Spirit Embassy looks at what's going on with the drams. Doesn't really go into a lot of detail about each individual dram. And then they also have a distillery tasting. I think this month's going to be Arran, where you get five samples of Arran. So the at home tasting, they send you three samples, usually from an indie bottler, and then three samples from a distillery. I think the three samples with this pack were of Scapa 10, 16, and 21-year-old. Tonight I'm going to look at the Artful Dodger samples, and I've got three samples from Artful Dodger. Glen Ord, 16-year-old, 53.7%. Bunnahabhain, 25-year-old. Bit of confusion about the age of this one. I'll explain that when we get to it. At 41.7%, so there's been some loss there. These are bottled at cask strength. And a Macduff, 12-year-old, 61.3% from 2011. Bunnahabhain, I'll explain the age problem that I have identifying its actual age when we come to it. So the Artful Dodger Whiskey Collective is an independent bottler based in Brighton in England and was founded in 2018. They're operated under Wolf, WOOLF, Wolf Drinks, and the company focuses on limited cask strength releases sourced from distilleries across Scotland and beyond. Its bottlings are typically drawn from single casks and presented without chill filtration or colouring. And they're known for distinctive packaging and a focus on transparency around cask origin and maturation. They have some interesting tasting notes on their website and also a bit of history of themselves. So worth looking at the Artful Dodger website. But what have we here? Well, first up, we have a Glen Ord from Muir of Ord. Done a tour of Glen Ord Distillery. It's a Diageo powerhouse. Produces lots and lots of whiskey, and it's got a nice visitor centre. We did a tasting of, I think, 3 drams, very well led, and is an interesting place to visit. So I would recommend, if you're up that way, to pop along to Glen Ord and have a look at the distillery. And the warehouse is interesting because they have casks of various distilleries. Like Mortlach was one of the casks I saw. Huge warehouse, lots of different casks from lots of Diageo distilleries, as well as Glen Ord. Bottled now, Glen Ord, usually under Singleton of Glen Ord. This one is from the Artful Dodger, and it's a single cask, 16-year-old, drawn from a bourbon hogshead in 2024. Under the bottling series, a liquid tribute. So distilled in 2008, bottled in 2024, stated age 16 years, bourbon hogshead, cask number 305072, and there were 295 bottles of this. So you can see it's quite a pale colour in the glass. I'll just bring that up again. So I've had a few Glen Ords. I find that indie bottlings I prefer. It's quite a thin tide line on this one. A thin coating of the glass. It's not terribly viscous. There are some tears, but yeah, it's nice. They're running down quite freely though. And on the nose, that's very fruity, crisp apples and pears with a sort of buttery, rich tea biscuits. And there is a touch of cut grass. It's quite fruity on the nose. And there's some full-bodied toffee notes. 53.7%. I'm not really getting any sting from the alcohol. It's not the most expressive initially, but once it gets going, it's nice. Fresh fruits. Maybe cloudy apple juice. Pear skins. Cantaloupe melon. And the tears are showing now. Quite nice tears now, actually. And there's some light chalky notes. And there's a gentle whiff of oatcake. It's quite austere and grassy with cider apples, barley sugar, candied sugar, and even a little limoncello. Try the mouth. And again, you get toffee apple, malty biscuit, and jammy pears. That's all mingling with a hint of ginger spice. It's got a delicious, creamy mouthfeel. And there's hints of Werther's original and toffee. And then stewed apples, quince, and a sort of breakfast cereal. Whispers of bran too. And some vanilla ice cream. And those gentle spices and a touch of oat char. And it's quite taut on herbs and leafy things with tart apples and lime. And the sharp edges is rather spectacular. And at the end, just a touch of mint. And the finish is long and oily with lingering malt and orchard fruit sweetness. And there's a sliver of breakfast tea and porridge. And then that evolves towards lingering orchard fruits. I'm going to add a mill of water to this. Well, there's lovely viscimity here. I'm not sure if you'll see that there. Yeah, I've always found Glen Ord quite soft, gentle and fruity. And I think it suits bourbon. I know they do a lot of different finishes with wines and different woods. But yeah, I've always found just bourbon casks maturation works very well. And with water, some white chocolate, fresh hazelnuts, buttercream and popcorn. And there is a whiff of, when you add water, a whiff of engine oil. It's a Highland dram after all. Sesame and pistachio oils. And I think it's good to remember textures can appear on the nose as well. You get bread dough, flour, and fern. Try them out. And this is pure raw Glen Ord. Quite punchy when you add water, and a tad burning, which is surprising because you've diluted it down from the original strength of 53.7, but it actually burns more when you add water. Full of polishes and cereals, and it's quite waxy with those oils, sesame and sunflower and beeswax, and that touch of limoncello appears again. And the strange thing is, when you add water, you get more body. Apple compote and porridge. And when you add water, the finish becomes long, very clean on oily grains, austere, vegetal, but it's smoothed out by a dash of barley syrup, and there's hints of Williams pears in the aftertaste. You know, this is very proper, cool, perfect, authentic Ord that's not been murdered with silly wines and woods. It's got Glen Ord's signature green, grassy character, born from clear wort, long fermentation and copper-rich distillation that coaxes out all that orchard fresh brightness. And the bourbon cask maturation layers in toffee, sweetness and gentle spice, rounding off the distillery's famously clean style. This was Mother Nature in the glass, without the slightest artifice. Very good. I'm going to cleanse my palate tonight with the Mallow Marsh dark chocolate or raspberry mallow bar. So next up we have a Bunnahabhain. I'll just have some water. This one I'm a little bit confused about the age statement because there isn't an age statement. It just says Bunnahabhain, 25-year-old, 41.7%, cask number 3445. So on whiskey base, it says that this was distilled on the 18th of December 1995 and bottled on the 29th of June 2024, which would make it 29 years old. But the Artful Dodger on the website say it's 25 years old, and Whiskey Base has it as a 25-year-old. But anyway, it's a long-aged Bunnahabhain drawn from a single bourbon hogshead and bottled after, we think, a quarter of a century. There must be some dates wrong here. It's unpeated, and it's been given this slow, graceful maturation. So in 2024, the Cask produced 182 bottles at 41.7%. So there's been quite a big loss to the Angels share, both in volume and in ABV. And if they'd left it much longer, it would have gone below the 40%, I suspect. So let's see what's going on here. And it's got lovely tears, possibly evaporating quite quickly though. Non-coloured, non-chill filter, as all Artful Dodgers bottlings are. And you can see just from the colour that there's no colour added to this. And it's bananas on warm porridge, honeyed cereal, vanilla cream, and that cool coastal breeze. And you get some red currants and gooseberries. And suiting the palate cleanser, you get some raspberries as well. And then more malted barley and custard. It's the freshness and the lightness that are very pleasant here. Try them out. And you get silky orchard fruit, honey glaze malt, honey glaze on the gammon without the gammon, malt loaf, and a gentle waxy sweetness. And it has a soft, waxy character underpinned by honeyed oak and vanilla, all layered with dried orchard fruits, roasted nuts, and a hint of very mellow spice. Really very fresh indeed, and you do get the fruits that were on the nose, the banana, the red currants and gooseberries and raspberries, and the kiwis. And there's a wee feeling of mojito, and once again, a touch of salt, which would make it a margarita then, I suppose. And the finish is toasted almonds, light leather and sea line, and at the end, it's rounded and elegant with a lingering sweetness and a touch of salty warmth. It's full of soft, buttery cereals, green fruits, pollen, pepper, and a little coastal flourish. I'm going to add a mill of water to this. And again, there's some nice symmetry going on there. So yeah, I really enjoy Bunnahabhain. I think their 18-year-old is one of my favourite core range bottlings out there. 12-year-old is always a solid whiskey, and I've tried some of the independent bottlings. I find often that the core range is as good, but let's see what water does to this. And now you get lots of apples, banana, lemons, wet grain, and also this peach pebble freshness that's so common to refill cask Bunnas. There's a wee hint of fresh linen and some candy floss. Try them out. And there's some milk bottle sweets. A little lemon bonbon, toasted cereal, and tiny prickle of white pepper. Oh, it's a very lovely fruity finish. Some syrup from tin fruit salad and more orange juice in the aftertaste. I I really like these refill cask mid-aged Bunnahabhains. They're just the epitome of freshness, flavour and drinkability in malt whisky. And this one is a really pleasurable whisky. It captures the distillery's softer maritime character without fuss or embellishment. So have another bite of the Mallow Marsh. So now we're going all the way over to Macduff, which is classed as a Highland, but it is knocking on Speyside's door, of course. And this one much darker because it's a Macduff that lets first spill sherry do what it does best. This Artful Dodger bottling was drawn from a single hogshead cask and bottled at full strength of 61.5%. Distilled on the 3rd of October 2011, bottled on the 30th of June 2024. Stated age 12 years. First spill sherry hogshead maturation. Cask number 900362. And there were 456 bottles of this. And you can see the viscosity here, sticking to the glass rather impressively. Very sticky to use, nice tidily. And you get big oak, mixed berry jam, milk chocolate, and sticky sweetness. It's full-blown sherry with oranges, raisins, chocolate, coffee and tobacco. Very oloroso-ish. And there's touches of parsley and chicken soup and a little milk chocolate as well. It's a bit earthier, more mentholy, more tobacco, humus and mushrooms. Try them out. It's got a full sherry blast of treacle, burnt sugar crust, lovely tears in this, juicy sultanas and warming spice. It's very rich. Bit in the style of some of these Macallan Cask strengths that have been coming out. Orange liqueurs, raisins, pipe tobacco, ginger, caraway, and more chocolate. And you know, I'm not getting hit by the ABV. It's a big whiskey, but it's balanced and almost smooth. Very rich and yet fresh. And more spices in this one. The caraway, cloves, ginger, and white pepper. And the finish is dark fruit, sherry soaked oak, and sweet spice. And it's long with some herbs appearing now. Parsley is back, and tobacco again. I'm going to add a mill of water to this. Actually, I'm going to add 1.5 mils to this one with this big high ABV of 61.3%. It doesn't seem to be quite so much symmetry in this one, but anyway. Well, you know, I did a tasting in Macduff when we were up the Bucky Road a while back in these tastings. So I'm quite familiar with Macduff, but this is really quite nice. One of the nicer ones I've had. And now it's like Italian hazelnut liqueur. It's extremely pleasant, soft, rounded cherry, more damp earth, mushrooms, fern. It's like being in a sherried forest. No, that's a nice nose now. And when you add water, the orangey side gets louder. It adds freshness and lightness. This isn't a light whiskey though. It's almost perfect with oranges kicking in. And when you add water, the good news is that the spices did not become overly cinnamony. That can happen when you add water to a sherry bomb. And the finish with water is long, spicy, orangey, orange blossom water with a lot of cloves. This is an excellent high voltage, smooth sherry drop. There may be a little hint of sulphur in there, but it never gets in your way. It's even an acid to this whiskey. So, the Artful Dodger, 3 whiskies. Wow, they're rescuing some great casks at Artful Dodger. The Glen Ord is a delight. The Bunnahabhain is a lovely, easy drinker. Both are fresh and filled with flavour. And the Macduff that I've just had is a sherry bomb and the perfect late evening whiskey. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.